Hi, and welcome to a new episode, and today I'm going to talk about what I believe to be 3 important topics regarding hiking and give you my thoughts and best recommendations, both to give a good direction to new hikers, but also like a general guide, so stay tuned. I don't know if you can hear, but you can hear the birds and the dogs in the background. Anyway, if you are new to this channel is all about hiking, gear reviews, tips and tricks, and backpacking thoughts. And if that is something you like, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications. Anyways, enough about that. Today I will cover 3 topics that are especially important if you are new to hiking and you who are taking the first stumbling steps into this activity, hobby, or even a lifestyle, if you ask me. I will go through each topic and talk about why I believe them to be so important, and also in the end give you my best recommendations. So without further ado, here is the first topic. Have a plan. Especially important for beginners, and I believe there's a lot of people just buying new gear and that just picks the most popular route without thinking so much about if it is a good hike for them or not. Hiking is difficult. Hiking can be really hard, and some places are just not for beginners or those new to their equipment and without any experience. So first, and before you do anything, even before buying new gear and starting up your hiking career, make up a plan where you want to go on a hike now and in the future. What your goal is this year, next year, and maybe also more of a long-term plan or a bucket list. Do you want to do day hikes, hike multiple days? Do you want to use a tent or a hammock, or maybe rent a cottage along the way? Or maybe even do some long distance hiking like a through hike, or like we have here in Sweden, the green and white ribbon. Knowing this bucket list or wish list, you will have a much better understanding what gear you need to buy, and it will influence the choice of sleeping pad, sleeping bag, tent, kitchen and everything, and in the end also the size of your backpack. You will also have a better understanding what is expected of you as a hiker, and if you in your current conditions are up for it, or if you need to plan and do a little bit of exercise before the trip. Then and only then, when you have a general plan and you know what you want to achieve and know where you're going, buy the gear needed if you don't have it already, and get yourself the information needed for that specific area, like maps and guidelines, and also talk to people that have already been there. I also do recommend you spending some time to practicing using your gear, like pitching your tent in the backyard and maybe do a one-nighter not too far from home. Then you will also have a chance to change the gear that you didn't like or that maybe didn't work out as planned. I think the best and shortest words for this is be prepared and start small before climbing any mountain or just heading out on the trail. And remember that adventure is just around the corner. Hydration on the hike. Well, yeah, I see a lot of questions regarding hydration on the hike and how much water you really need to carry. Much depends, of course, where you're hiking, and it is for sure the biggest influence on how much water you need to carry. So the first recommendation would be to do a bit of research for the area where you're hiking. Besides the water sources, and like a general recommendation, and what a lot of people do, is to bring a water filter to filter the water from more or less any water source and make it drinkable. I have been using the Ketodine B3 filter for a very long time, and I can recommend it, but I can also recommend the Sawyer Squeeze. Both are really lightweight and both can filter a lot of water. Now, this is not rocket science, but still you see a lot of hikers carrying a lot of water despite there being a lot of lakes and streams everywhere, or just drink the water as it is directly from the lakes. Well, that is a bit risky because you can get like diarrhea, stomach aches, or worse. Be smart and use a filter. Another thing when it comes to water and hydration on the trail is to bring enough water bottles besides the one you're using during the day. Bring some additional water bottles to be able to carry a little bit of extra water for the stretches with less water, or if you want to set camp in between two water sources. Myself, to handle situations like that, I have two 50 centiliter bottles on my shoulder straps and a 2-liter Zenote bag for my water filter, making it possible to carry up to 3 liters of water, and I find that to work just fine for the areas where I'm hiking in. Water is heavy, don't carry it for no reason, use a filter. Finding a camp spot. This is a very common question, but also a tricky one to give you any real answers, because just like water, it much depends on where you're hiking. But there are some general guidelines and tips what to think about and have in mind when you're looking for that perfect spot. Find a flat spot as possible for obvious reasons, or you will end up sliding around inside your tent and wake up in one corner. Pick a high and dry ground to prevent water to gather if it starts to rain. Do not pitch your tent underneath a dead tree, and if possible also with open sky above the tent, to minimize the risk of branches and pine cones falling over and damaging your tent. Don't choose a spot too close to water, not only for condensation issues, but also not to disturb the wildlife. Keep a reasonable distance if possible. And like always, clear the area of sharp objects, branches, pine cones and things that can damage the tent. And before you go, restore the site as it was before you got there. Leave no trace. Last on the list, but a very important thing, not too close to another hiker. That is just rude. That's it really. That's the 3 topics for today, and what I believe to be very important, and especially for new hikers. Well, they do apply for all hikers, of course, but I believe that if you've been hiking for some time, maybe this is the basics you already should know about. I also would like to point out that the most important thing is that we get out there and hike, and not to overcomplicate things. A day hike can be just as rewarding as a long distance hike, even if I do prefer to stay at least 1 or 2 nights when I'm out, to really get into that hiking mood and to zoom out from that everyday worries. Now it would be really fun if you all could leave a comment and tell us all about your best tip to the new hikers out there. This way we can all learn from one another. But for now, this is the end, and if you like today's episode, take a look at these 2 recommendations on my other videos. Also do hit like, subscribe and turn on the notifications so you don't miss out on any future content. I also hope to see you again next week, but for now, safe hiking and bye bye.